What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Mitch Does Coffee YouTube channel, where today we have a Breville espresso machine. That's right, I'm finally showing you guys how to service one of these things. Now, this machine has had a couple of minor upgrades. We're using a Pullman shower screen instead of the one that it comes with, a little bit more precision there, and it has got an internal modification. We're extracting closer to 7.5 bar of pressure now, as per my recommendation. Low and slow can produce some pretty impressive espresso shots. I know there's a lot of Italians turning their grave right now. You don't need 9 bar of pressure to extract. There we go. So the service we're about to put through this machine is essentially a standard seal service and an internal descale. Now, using the Breville owner's manual, it'll tell you to use the Breville tablets or maybe some other solutions, but we're not going to use the vinegar. We're not going to use any of that nasty stuff. We're going to use proper Cafetto liquid descaler. This is the best thing to use for your machine. I promise you, I've tried many things. It is the best. And of course, we're replacing the group head seal, as you should. Every time you service these things, at least every 12 months, I would highly recommend replacing this, doing the service we're about to do on it. And there will be a couple little differences depending on the machine you do have. I'm going to tag every Breville machine in the world in this post. So, you know, it will essentially still relate to your machine, what we're about to do, even if you just have the smaller little Breville Express, single boiler machines, whatever they are. Essentially, most of it is going to be the same on how you pull a shower screen out and essentially how to put the liquid in and how to make sure there's none left in there. So let's get into it, guys. Let's get this thing great again. Now, what I'm about to say may seem a little bit controversial, but before you start pulling parts off the machine and throwing things in the bin, half fill the water tank inside the machine and then turn it on. Then we want to let the machine get up to typical brewing temperature. Don't worry about this guy, we don't need that yet. Now, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the machine can run through its descale cycle while we still have the old seal and old parts hanging around, because you don't want to put a new seal in and then start running descaling and getting all the dirt out. So, turn it on, wait for it to get up to temperature, and then we'll go from there. While we're waiting for the machine to get up to temperature, I'm going to explain how to use this bottle. If you open that green lid and then squeeze, and then you can keep an eye on the level of the fluid. Once we're up to 100 ml, we're ready to go. Once we're anywhere up above 90 degrees, we can pour in the descaler we're about to use, like so. And then we want to put the machine into its descaling mode. Now, this will be different for quite a few machines, so just check with your owner's manual, but a lot of them are very similar. I'm going to show you how to do it on this exact machine. Now, before you start going into the cycle, I would highly recommend putting something underneath your group head just to catch. And if it's clear, the better, because then you can see what's coming through to give you some sort of idea as to how the machine is traveling health-wise. Hit the menu button and keep going until we get over to the clean cycle, and then we hit the manual button. Now, while the machine is in the state of, not doing anything while these lights are flashing and the timer is counting down, it's actually just heating up in the boiler, letting the descaler actually remove scale from inside the boiler. That does take time and temperature to do so. So just sit tight, the timer is counting down, and then I'll show you what to do next. So you may have noticed I purged that guy a couple of times as well. Now, that's not normally a part of the standard service schedule on this, but I highly recommend doing it, as this exact machine was dripping on startup. Even just stationary, it was always dripping, which meant that there was a little bit of scale buildup or something sitting inside there, letting a little bit of air and water through. That is now cleared up, thanks to that little trick. And now we can remove the water tank from the machine, give it a really good scrub, really good scrub. Make sure it's spotless inside, because we don't want any of that descaler sitting inside. That's not going to taste very good. And then we need to run just fresh water through on the exact same cycle, just to make sure that there's no descaler still sitting inside the machine. Now, I would like to say something very quickly. The little filters that are in the water tank, throw it in the bin. Please don't use those. Just use good quality filtered water. It'll do much more for your machine, and you don't have to worry about spending silly amounts of money on pieces of cloth. So throw that in the bin and never see it again. So now that you have descaled inside the machine and run another cycle to ensure that there is no descaler left inside, we're going to turn the machine off and things are about to get steamy. So now that the machine is turned off, we're going to pull this little descale access button out, remove just the steel section of the drip tray, and then we're going to need a fairly small flat blade screwdriver. Now just be careful here because the machine is hot. We are going to release a decent amount of pressure, so you want to do this slowly. Once the machine stops producing steam, just open these up just to make sure there's nothing stuck inside, and then close them back up again. Now, you don't need to tighten these up too much, but obviously you don't want to leave them loose, otherwise you're going to be draining the boilers while trying to heat them up, and that's not going to work. And then of course, remove the drip tray, drain that out, and then come back. So now we're going to remove the shower screen, the group head seal, and of the little dispersion plate that's behind the shower. Now this is all going to be very hot, but I'm a barista so I don't have feelings. So we've now removed the group head seal, little dispersion plate, the shower screen, and the screw that holds it in. Now before we move on, grab your little dispersion plate and inspect it. I've never pulled one of these out and it not have some little hairline cracks in it. Quite often I pull these out and they're in multiple pieces. If it is the case, throw it in the bin and order a new one. If you're going to order a new one, check out the stainless steel ones that are, I think they're actually designed for the Sage, which is the UK or US version of this machine. Highly recommend going to the stainless steel upgrade. It might cost you about $100, well worth the money. Makes a better coffee and it won't break like these always do. This one's got some little cracks, not enough to worry about, but if it does get bad enough, it's obviously going to let water through the wrong spots, killing your distribution. But this one's fine, so we're going to put it all back together, obviously with a new steel, and well, that's already clean because this guy looks after the machine. Typically you would clean the shower screen or replace that as well. Plenty of upgrades for those as well out there. Now before you put all the new stuff in, we just want to give this a nice big clean, make sure it's spotless. Like I said, this machine's quite well looked after, so I know it's pretty good. You can actually undo these screws here and pull out the little plastic clips on the inside as well if need be. This one definitely doesn't need it. The owner of this machine has done a very good job of looking after it, and it's been paying off because his coffee is delicious and it doesn't look like absolute junk up there. Now you can get a little bit cheeky here with how you assemble it. Instead of trying to put the seal in and then the dispersion plate, grab the seal, pop the plate on top, then grab your shower screen and essentially assemble it all as if it would go into the machine. Grab the screw, and then before you put it in, just wet the outside of this a little bit. It'll make it a lot easier to put it inside. Now with that plastic dispersion plate, be careful, don't over tighten this because you will break it. I promise, I've broken at least 3 of them. Double check the portafilter goes in. Nice. So before you turn the machine on to start testing things and maybe dialing in some new beans, we want to fill the water tank all the way to the maximum line because those empty boilers are going to suck most of that water in. You might even need to top it up again. Those boilers inside are actually fairly decent in volume. So fill her up first, then turn it on like I have. So now that the machine is up to its full temperature with a clean boiler, new seal, everything nice and fresh, we're going to make a coffee because, well, I want one. And I would love to test this machine. Now I do not want to play with the owner's settings because I know that he has played with this thing to his likings, so I'm just going to pull a manual shot, and weigh things and time things and see how we go. So, you can obviously make a good coffee on one of these, and that is a very drinkable coffee. And I must say, I didn't drink the first coffee that I pulled from the machine, because you never should. You should always run a dead shot just to make sure that you have seasoned the machine and hopefully there's no chemical left over. But that is a good coffee. I am no latte art champion. I don't think I ever will be. It's good coffee. Yeah, there you go. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this, found it educational, or just found me inappropriate. Nice and steamy. Give me a like down there, and not down there, not like that. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourselves a great day and happy brewing.